This Austin laundromat is listed for $250,000. The seller claims $60,000 in annual profit. I spent 30 minutes investigating this listing and found 10 red flags. Some of them are obvious. One of them even dates back to 1970. If you've ever looked at a business listing and wondered, is this actually a good deal or am I about to make a very expensive mistake? This channel is for you. I break down real listings the way a smart buyer should before signing anything. Today's listing is a laundromat in Austin, Texas. On the surface, it looks like a reasonable deal. But the moment you start checking the numbers, the deal stops looking like a deal. Here's what the seller is offering. Asking price, $250,000. Gross revenue, $330,000 per year. EBITDA, $60,000. SDE, not disclosed. The business was established in 2011, 56 washers, 60 dryers, 3 full-time employees. A leased location in what the listing calls a high-traffic shopping center in Austin, Texas. That's the pitch. Now let's check the numbers. Let's start with what's missing. The seller gave us EBITDA, but there's no SDE. For small business buyers, SDE is the number that actually matters. EBITDA tells you the business's profit on paper. SDE, seller's discretionary earnings, tells you what an owner actually takes home. For a laundromat asking $250,000, the buyer needs SDE to underwrite the deal. EBITDA alone doesn't answer the most important question. How much money do I actually make if I run this? Now let's check the math. Asking price, $250,000. EBITDA, $60,000 a year. That gives us a multiple of 4.2. Here's why that matters. Laundromats, small, owner-operated laundromats, typically sell for 2 to 3 times their annual earnings. This one is asking 4.2 times, 40% above the high end of the industry standard. For a healthy, growing laundromat with clean books and modern equipment, maybe you stretch to 3.5 times. But this one isn't healthy. It isn't growing. And as we'll see in a minute, the equipment isn't modern either. So the question becomes, why is a struggling laundromat priced like a premium one? There's one more number problem before we move on. Gross revenue, $330,000. EBITDA, $60,000. That's a margin of 18%. Well-run laundromats typically run 25 to 35% EBITDA margins. This one is at 18. That gap matters because it tells you this business is already underperforming on basic operations. The price reflects a healthy laundromat. The numbers reflect a struggling one. Up to this point, we've looked at what the seller didn't say. Now let's look at what the seller did say. Here's a direct quote from the listing. The laundromat has been neglected as the owner has other businesses. As such, many machines need repair, and business has dropped significantly. Read that again. Business has dropped significantly. That's not me speculating. That's the seller in their own listing telling you the business is in decline. And here's the question that matters. The $60,000 EBITDA we've been analyzing, is that from before the decline or after? Because if it's from before, the real number is even lower. If it's from after, the trajectory is still pointing down. Either way, the buyer is paying for a number that no longer reflects reality. The seller didn't just admit the business is declining, they told you why. Many machines need repair. That one sentence matters. A new commercial washer costs around $7,000. A new commercial dryer around $4,000. If only 20% of the equipment needs serious repair or replacement, a conservative estimate for a 15-year-old neglected laundromat, that's roughly 23 machines. At an average replacement cost of around $5,000 each, that's roughly $115,000 in potential capital expenditure on top of the $250,000 asking price. Real entry cost could be closer to $365,000. Now the next 4 red flags are smaller on their own, but together they tell the same story. This is not a clean deal. It is a turnaround bet with missing information. Red flag number 6, the growth story. The listing mentions a new commercial laundry contract that doubled in volume over the past month. Is it a long-term contract? Not disclosed. Is it still in a trial period? Not disclosed. A growth claim built on 30 days of data is not something I would underwrite heavily. Red flag number 7, the FF&E valuation. The listing values furniture, fixtures, and equipment at $250,000. Exactly the asking price. That creates a simple pitch. You are basically paying for the equipment and the business is free. But the same listing says many machines need repair. So the buyer needs to verify the equipment machine by machine, because equipment is not worth what a listing says it is worth. Red flag number 8, the labor math. This laundromat has 3 full-time employees. That does not automatically make the deal bad, but it does raise a serious question. How much owner involvement is still required? If the buyer still has to manage repairs, staff, cleaning, and customer issues, this is not passive income. It is an operating job. Red flag number 9. The listing describes this as a proven laundromat at a discounted price. Discounted from what? From original asking price or industry value. When a seller calls a price discounted without showing the reference point, the discount is just a word, not a number. That is 9 red flags. This last one is the strangest of them all. Red flag number 10. In the listing under business location, there's a field called lease expiration. For any laundromat buyer, this is one of the most important pieces of information in the deal. The machines are bolted to the floor. The plumbing is built into the walls. The customers are tied to the location. If the lease ends, the business ends with it. So I checked the field. The lease expiration date on this listing is January 2nd, 1970. Now, could this be a data entry mistake? Sure. But here's what matters. This listing has been live. Brokers have shared it, and nobody, including the seller, has fixed it, or worse, nobody cared. In a laundromat, lease clarity is not a small detail. If the lease is unclear, the entire deal is unclear. Now let's calculate, how long does the buyer have to wait to get their money back? And the answer is brutal. In the listing case, where the seller's numbers hold, nothing breaks, no surprises. The buyer waits over 4 years to break even. In the conservative case, where real usable profit is closer to what a struggling business actually earns, that timeline stretches to over 5.5 years. And in the stress case, where equipment fails, decline continues, and the owner gets pulled deeper in, the wait stretches past 8 years. 8 years to break even? A laundromat is supposed to be a cash flow asset. This one may be a turnaround project with unclear cash flow, unclear equipment risk, and an unclear lease. The seller calls it a discounted opportunity. The numbers call it something else. Trap. Here's the lesson. When a listing tells you the price is discounted, don't ask why it's cheap. Ask what risk the discount is trying to price in, because the cheapest deals are usually the most expensive ones. I'm going to keep investigating listings like this. If you want me to break down a specific listing, drop the link in the comments below. And if you want this channel to keep doing what it does, hit subscribe.